Hello vinyl lovers! Today I'm going to talk about a really special artist. A special artist for me because I absolutely love her music and I also love her story behind her music. And I'm talking about the wonderful Vashti Bunyan. Yes, many of you know Vashti Bunyan. She was once a really obscure artist that no one really knew about. Only record collectors knew about her. But in the early 2000s she got this revival and she was picked up again and her old album were reissued and she started to make new music, new wonderful music, and had a long and fine career in modern days, so to speak. But today I want to show you the original stuff from the 60s and the 70s, and I want to show you my records and talk a little bit about her career from a record perspective. Because this channel is about collecting records and it's about showing records, so that's what I'm gonna do. And many of you know her story. It's a fantastic story about she was trying to become a pop star in the 60s and released a couple of singles that failed, and eventually she just left everything and traveled by horse and a wagon up to Scotland to live there in some kind of hippie utopian island that Donovan had. And she recorded an album about that journey called Just Another Diamond Day that came out in '71. And after that she just disappeared from the music industry for 30 years or something before she came back. And I'm gonna talk about the early stuff and of course, this LP, one of the grails in my collection. I'm going to tell you the story of how I got it and everything around it. But let's back a little bit to 1965, where it all started. Vashti Bunyan started to write her own songs in the mid-60s, early 60s, and she wanted to become a pop star. And she came in contact with Andrew Loog Oldham, who were the manager for Rolling Stones at that time, and he really liked her and he thought that he could turn her into a new Marianne Faithfull or something. Vashti wrote her own songs and wanted to record her own songs, but Andrew Loog Oldham said bring in the professionals, so he gave her a Keith Richards, Mick Jagger song called Something's Just Stick in Your Mind, and they recorded this single on Decca. This came out in 1965. I'm gonna pull it out so you can see it. This is the A side, Something's Just Stick in Your Mind, with that's a Jagger Richards song, and the B side is a song called I Want to Be Alone, and that is a Vashti original song. Andrew Loog Oldham, he was very influenced by Phil Spector and he wanted to do big productions, so naturally he brought in session musicians and they put on this almost wall of sound production on Something's Just Stick in Your Mind. And that wasn't really what Vashti wanted. She wanted to do very sparse arrangements and soft arrangements or so. Anywho, this came out, it didn't sell at all. They tried to promote it, but it didn't sell, and Andrew Loog Oldham just moved on to the next project, and Vashti was out in the freezer and they didn't want to do a follow-up. So the next year, in 1966, she left Andrew Loog Oldham and came in contact with a producer from Canada that wanted to record her songs more in the style that she wanted. So they released a single, this one. It's called The Train Song, and with the B-side Love Song. Came out on Columbia in 1966. I'm going to show you, this is a demo disc. Looks like this. A-side with Train Song and B-side with the lovely Love Song. So this is more what Vashti wanted her music to sound like.
Traveling north to find you. Train was beating the wind in my eyes. Don't even know what I'll say when I find you. It's so many months and so long since I've met you. Don't even know what I'll find.
It didn't sell at all. It didn't happen. So she was, for the second time, really devastated by her music not making it. So she went back to Andrew Loog Oldham, to his Immediate Records back in that day, and started to record and write more songs for him, hoping that he would put out something. And she came up with a song called Winter is Blue, that is a stunningly beautiful pop song that really could have made it to the charts and become a hit. So they recorded it, put in like everything Andrew Loog Oldham is doing. He put in a big orchestra, he even brought in an opera singer in it, and this really massive production, and it was shelved. It never came out. But the song appeared on this LP. This is a soundtrack, film by Peter Whitehead. Tonight Let's All Make Love in London. Came out on this Instant label. So this is a pressing from 1968, and on this soundtrack Vashti Winter is Blue came out. There you can see Winter is Blue. Winter is Blue should have of course been released as a single, but it only came out on this soundtrack, and it's not even the whole song. It's just like half of the song, then it turns into some spoken words. This is like a soundtrack with Pink Floyd and Small Faces and other Immediate artists, and this Vashti song is thrown in here, like half of the song, and then there are spoken words by Mick Jagger and Andrew Loog Oldham, and very much a counterculture kind of film, I guess. I haven't seen it, but it's the only way to get this song if you don't have the acetate for Winter is Blue. But this is from '68, so it's from the time, so therefore I have it in my collection. And it's actually quite cool to have.
Winter is blue, everything's leaving, fires are now burning, and life has no reason. I am alone, waiting.
She did one more appearance on Immediate before she dropped out from them, and she appeared on this LP. This is a band called Twice as Much, and it's their record from 1968 on Immediate label. And you can see there, last track, Coldest Night of the Year with Vashti. And that is a lovely, lovely song she did with this band. And it's a very like Beach Boys production, kind of almost Christmas feel song, Coldest Night of the Year. It's an absolutely stunning pop song. They could easily release this as a single, and it would have been a hit, I think.
Struggle close together while the whole world turns to ice. Kiss the victims of the weather, sending you home now just wouldn't be nice. Baby, it's cold out there and it's getting cold.
I'm gonna show you the label. Immediate classic label, UK press of this. So I bought this record mainly for the Vashti song, but actually the rest of the LP is pretty good as well. There's definitely some cool tracks on this one, very much like 60s pop style, but a great album overall, I think. After those songs on Immediate, Vashti was like devastated because all her songs have been cancelled. They even did that full production song of Winter Was Blue, but it was shelved, and she thought that nothing is gonna happen to my music. This is just not for me. And by that time in '68 she met up with her boyfriend, I think it was called Robert Lewis by that time, and they moved out in the forest somewhere and lived under a tree for some time, really hippie life, until the police came and removed them from their home, so to speak. And they were basically homeless and didn't know what to do. At that time they came in contact with Donovan, you know, the psychedelic minstrel, and he has just bought some islands off of the coast of Western Scotland in the Hebrides, outside the Isle of Skye. And he wanted to invite other artists like writers, poets, painters and musicians to come and live with him up on his island. That sounded perfect for Vashti and her boyfriend. So they wanted to move from London up to Scotland and live in this like utopian dream. But they didn't have any money, they didn't have any car, so they lended £100 from Donovan to buy a horse and a wagon to travel from London up to this island in Scotland. And Donovan and the other artists, they left by car and drove up to Isle of Skye, and Vashti and her boyfriend started to travel up north. But naturally, if you travel by horse, it's gonna take some time, so they didn't reach the Scottish Islands until like a year after, and by that time all the other artists that went with Donovan had already gone home to London. So when they came there, it wasn't the dream that they had expected. However, Vashti had written songs throughout this journey. Her boyfriend said to her, "You should stop writing those stupid love songs and write about things that you see around you." So she wrote songs about their journey. Maybe not about their journey, but about the dream they were heading towards. The songs she wrote is not a document about their life, it's more like the dream they had. Anywho, at that time she met up with Joe Boyd, an American producer who had recorded Fairport Convention, Nick Drake, Incredible String Band and a lot of other folk rock artists from UK. Actually, he was American, but he was the perfect guy to record UK folk rock. And he has done some of the absolutely finest UK folk rock albums, Joe Boyd. And he got very interested in Vashti Bunyan and her journey, and he heard her songs and he wanted to record it and release it as an album. After they have come to Scotland and settled down in a little small stone house they found on one of the islands there, she went back to London to record this album, Just Another Diamond Day.
Just another diamond day, just a blade of grass, just another bale of hay, and the horses pass. La 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 la.
And I have here a UK original of this on the Philips label. Came out in this wonderful gatefold cover. And here you can see a picture of their horse and wagon with their dog and info about the songs and who played on this one. Lovely gatefold sleeve, and this is just a superb copy. And I'm gonna talk about how I got this. I'm gonna show you the label first. So this is like a massive rarity, a grail in my collection. She recorded the songs that she had written during her journey with Joe Boyd, and in her head she thought she was going to be a pop singer, and she wrote like pop songs. But Joe Boyd, when he heard about her life and saw how they lived, he thought they were the real deal folkies. So he naturally thought that he should produce this album as a folk record. So he brought in the best musicians from Fairport Convention, from Incredible String Band. He brought in Robert Kirby, who had arranged Nick Drake, and he put together a great lineup for this album. And they recorded her songs as a folk record. And she wasn't too keen on that. She wanted to do more of a pop record, but she didn't speak up to Joe Boyd. And by that time, when they recorded this, she found out that she was pregnant. So after they had recorded this album, she went back to Scotland, and nothing happened for about 6 months or so. Then she got an acetate or a demo disc of this sent to her, and she hated it. It was really not what she had expected. It was way too folky for her, but she had like already moved on with her having kids and stuff like that. So this eventually came out in the end of 1970 or 1971. And by that time, the whole, folkies going out in the country, living the hippie life wasn't the thing that was happening. This should have been released when it was written and recorded in 68, 69, but it came out too late. And it was pressed in very few copies. Joe Boyd don't even remember how many they pressed, but he thinks it's around 300 copies. So this is a massive, massive rarity, even though it's on a major label.
Morris Snail and Timothy Grubb, Swanee and Blue and Emily Grubb decided one day to go into the wood and build them a house and live there if they could. And they stayed there a while in the trees and the rain, till one day two blue men said, "You're all insane, and to please not come here again."
And she didn't get much press, but one reviewer wrote that he thought that this album was depressing. And when Vashti read that, she decided to lay down her guitar, not to pick it up in 30 years. She just went away from music, said that this is clearly not a thing for me. I'm not good at this. I'm gonna continue my life raising kids and do other stuff. That was what she did. But she came back, as we all know, in the early 2000s when this got reissued and got the recognition that it deserved. She got like really popular and started to record her new material that is almost equally as wonderful as this LP. And she recorded 2 LPs and a bunch of other collaborations with Devendra Banhart and Animal Collective, and a lot of really cool artists wanted to collaborate with her. And man, those things are amazing too, but I'm not gonna go into that now. But she made great music in the second part of her career. Anywho, I'm gonna tell you how I got this record, because it's a story to tell. This was a holy grail for me. I thought I would never own it, but this was back in 2012. There's a classic record fair here in Sweden called Hova, and that's like 4-hour drive from Stockholm, and they have it every summer around in June. A really lovely location by a lake, and many record collectors come there from all over Europe, from Germany, from Finland, from Norway, even from UK. I don't know if they're doing it now, but before Brexit they came. And everyone is like hanging around this camping area for a couple of days, just trading and selling records. And then on the Saturday it's a quite big record fair. Anyway, I didn't go to this record fair this year, but I have many friends who went there. And this was before I had kids and everything. So Saturday morning, the day of the fair, I was naturally sleeping. But those record fairs, they start early when the sellers are unpacking their things and the hardcore collectors are there to be the first to browse in the crates. I was sleeping at home and a friend called me, and I was like dizzy from waking up, so I just turned him down. 1 minute later I got a text that read, "Vashti, mint, call now." And I just got up of bed and I was like, what's this? And so I called him and he was like, "I'm standing here at the record fair and I have a Vashti Bunyan mint copy from a private seller here in Sweden. And there are a lot of sellers hovering around wanting to buy this, and I have it. Do you want it?" And I said, "Yes, I want it." I talked to the seller and my friend put in a good word for me, so he agreed on holding it for me until the next day when he was returning to Stockholm. And we met up the next day and I bought it. And as you can see, this cover is stunningly beautiful. The spine here, yeah, absolutely stunning copy. So yeah, I bought it from him, and he was a great guy called Stefan, and he was older than me and a record collector, and he has been collecting since the 80s or so, these kinds of things. And he has a little logbook where he wrote down every record he has purchased. So he kindly looked this up and told me that he bought it in London from a guy, and that guy had bought it when it came out. So I'm the third owner of this particular copy, and both Stefan, the guy I bought it from, and the guy from England had just played it a couple of times. So he was one of those guys that recorded LPs to a cassette and listened to the cassette and just put it in the shelves. So it's a stunningly mint copy of this, and it's totally amazing to have. A true holy grail for me. Not just like it's so rare, but it's also one of my favorite albums of all time.
Pine tree very tall, waiting for snow to fall. Mist hangs very still, caught by dawn in castle moats around the sleeping hill.
I won't speak too much about the music. I mean, everyone can listen to this one. Many of you have heard it, but it's just wonderful songs about the journey. Recorded perfectly by Joe Boyd with top musicians, top arrangements. And it has this like, it's the dream, the hippie dream they had that they actually never got. But it's so universal because everyone can relate to having those kinds of dreams. And I have them, and everyone who has like been turned on to this record has these kinds of dreams. So it's a fantastic LP to have and a fantastic rarity to show for you here today. Vashti Bunyan. And I should also recommend a book that came out. I haven't really read it myself, but I've heard that it's really good, so I'm gonna recommend it anyway. She just put out a book last year, I think, called Just Another Life to Live. A biography about her life and about her journey. And I'm gonna buy it and read the full story. But there are tons of other stuff like books, podcasts, magazines, documentaries about her amazing life and amazing music. So if you don't know Vashti Bunyan, check out Just Another Diamond Day. Check out her compilation with all the singles and her demos called Some Things Just Stick in Your Mind. And check out her new recordings, Look Aftering and Heartleap, two great LPs that she did when she returned. And it's totally amazing that she could come back after a 30-year-long break and make equally wonderful music as she did back in the days. Yeah, so it has been a pleasure to show you my really rare copy of Vashti Bunyan, and I'm very glad to have this. It's probably the record I will keep the longest because I love this so much. So thanks so much for tuning in and listening to this long video about Vashti Bunyan and her records. Please like, subscribe and put down a comment. if you like this album, do you like Vashti Bunyan? I just love it, and it goes straight to the heart, and it's an amazing album. So thanks for tuning in, and peace out.